Far Cry 2 is the tragic origin story of beloved Marvel superhero Malaria Man. Strung out on Xanax and dealing with severe daddy issues,
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
Malaria Man will stop at nothing but to destroy every last bit of infrastructure left in Africa.
Damn, I missed him!
I'm reading this off of the Wikipedia page for this game, so we know it's not a lie.
Wow.
Far Cry 2 is the red-headed stepchild of the Far Cry series. That doesn't mean that it's bad. After all, PC Gamer gave it a full 94%. But despite good critical acclaim, some of the mechanics were just a little too overbearing for the average e-boy. Things like guns jamming constantly and Malaria Man's drug addiction
Pretty oxy content right now.
made this one of the more infamous Far Cry titles to ever be put out. And yes, this game is really hard. You can't walk 20 feet without somebody trying to kill you, and every NPC you encounter in this world is hostile.
You ugly.
But a quick warning before we get this video going. The Steam version of this game is a buggy mess. I remember playing this on the original PlayStation 3, and it was nothing like this. So I'm gonna make fun of it, of course, but we're not gonna dock the game for this performance. Even though they did a terrible job with this port. But if anything, it made my playthrough more entertaining. So shout out My Name Jeff Gaming for giving me this classy idea and telling me to smoke weed and play Far Cry 2, because after reading this, I went to the Steam store and
First of all, I've never bought drugs on the dark web.
and then I finally decided to play a game that's been in my library for a couple years now that I've never even touched. Also, I clicked on his channel. He's a big bearded guy talking about Modern Warfare 2.
Modern Warfare 2.
10 out of 10. Love it. Massive spoilers ahead, by the way, so you're not allowed to complain in the comments that I never said anything. Far Cry 2 takes place in Africa. Africa the country, not to be confused with Africa the continent. For my American viewers. It's supposed to be a Central African country, but due to the fact that 70% of the NPCs are white, I feel like it's probably South African, just a guess. Initially, Far Cry 2 was supposed to take place on Mars.
Hi, everyone, I'm Elon Musk.
This is not a joke. This is real, and that idea was rejected, probably for the better. But before beginning the game, we get to choose which character we want to play as. Make sure you take your time with this, as it doesn't matter at all throughout your entire game. I played as Warren because he's a pilot, and I have 175 hours on Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is also how many gigs it takes up on my hard drive. But that makes me a licensed pilot.
Do you need something, Captain?
Yeah, update from the flight crew. Gonna need a beer and sit on my lap.
The game begins with a 10-minute cab ride. Very exciting stuff. Basically, this whole conversation is about how this country's f***ed, we're f***ed, we should have never came here, and we're gonna die, yada yada yada. Whatever, I didn't really listen, but that was the gist of the conversation. The reason I didn't listen was because I was surrounded by bugs. Literally everywhere in the first 5 minutes. It's mind-numbing. This cab ride ends with us passing out.
Hey, are you okay? You don't look so good.
Passing out is a very common theme in this game. The biggest weakness you have in this game is that your character's natural defense is to just faint.
I think it's only fair that I teach you kids how to make yourself faint.
Anytime he's startled or feeling a little tired, he just passes right out. When we wake up, George Clooney is now telling us we have malaria.
I found a bumper sticker in the shape of a pot plant that said, "F cops."
This character's name is the Jackal. And if his fragmented manic speech didn't already give it away, he is the main villain of this game. I guess he's supposed to be Jack Carver, the main character from the first game, but I didn't play that game, so none of that means anything to me. But I'm glad he's here. He was one of the only NPCs in this game that had an ounce of personality.
I'm a normal guy, I'm a swell guy, but then I get a little sugar in me and I start to go cuckoo.
Which is typical for a Far Cry game. And thank God he's not swapped out halfway through for some lesser version of himself, like some other games might have done. The Jackal is an arms dealer fueling both sides of an ongoing civil war between the APR and the UFLL. And he's the reason we're here in Africa in the first place. Our goal is to kill him, which is easy enough, right? I mean, he did just give us a free gun and a free machete, despite knowing we were sent there to kill him, which this guy might be way more powerful than us.
I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better.
Who cares if he sells guns? Walmart sells guns. I still buy food from there. But after his little speech, he leaves us, and like clockwork, we pass out again, and wake up to the calming sounds of gang violence in the distance.
Ain't that a bitch?
So, there are three main factions in this game. There's the APR, the UFLL, and the Underground. The APR wants to unite all of the countries in Africa to create like a super Africa. They're pretty much the Soviet Union. And the UFLL wants to keep their country independent. So naturally, these two hate each other. Lastly, we have the Underground Railroad, which is led by Harriet Tubman. You can pretty much disregard this faction. The only time we help them is when we run out of Xanax and we need another fix.
And now new tonight, the Chance Ford priest is under arrest following an investigation into drug activity.
Putting it lightly, they're just drug dealers the entire game, but you're supposed to like them, I think. I don't know.
I have not done any drugs. I've drank a little bit, but even if I wasn't drinking, I would tell you the same thing.
After a series of frustratingly long tutorial missions, the game finally sets us loose. Now, from all the memes and like things I've seen online about Far Cry 2, I planned on this game being challenging, so I made sure when I played it that I played it on the most difficult setting, of course. When traversing the jungle, there's rarely ever a HUD? An HUD on screen. This, along with the fact that there's no mini-map and you have to physically pull a paper map out to see where you're going, greatly increases the game's immersion, as you calmly look down at your paper map while driving through a war camp. Relaxing. Or it would have been if I wasn't such a jackass. The default button to use your map in this game is 5, like on the top number part. But for some reason my brain kept telling me it was Q, but Q throws grenades. So not every time, but a lot of the times I tried to put my map away, I would accidentally just throw a grenade.
I dropped my grenade somewhere over there.
I understand this is my fault, and I am very mad at myself, but also I'm going to blame the game instead of myself. Deal with it. But let's talk more about the UFLL and the APR. They're pretty important in this game. I hate both of these factions so much. Typically in most games, there's a definitive good side and a definitive bad side, which makes it easier for my dumb brain to decide who I like more. However, both of these factions definitively suck ass. After the initial tutorial missions, the next couple hours of this game consist of you doing dirty work for each of these militias. But for two groups of people that say that they really want the best for their country, they do an awful lot of domestic terrorism.
Ambush the motorcade, kill the police chief, and the job is complete.
I mean, they make you do a lot of terrorism. You're a terrorist in this game. The average mission is, hey, the other faction has control of, I don't know, this water treatment plant. It makes clean drinking water for the people, and that's bullshit, so go blow it up. Here, I'll pay you in blood diamonds. Thanks, peace. Like, I understand that you guys are at war, but is it too much to ask for you guys to fight each other instead of just bombing all of your country's infrastructure? I don't know who wins. Malaria, man, that's who. Furthermore, both sides were well aware that I was working with their enemy, but funny enough, they just say something like this.
We've been working with the enemy. Did you think I would not find out?
It's been a long time.
Short-term memory loss. What it is, what causes it, and how to prevent it. Check this out.
And then proceed to tell me to go shoot up a school? That's not hyperbole. That's a real mission in this game.
So you hate professors too?
But there were no students there, and the guy we were supposed to kill was a bomb-making instructor, so
there's no reason to kill me. I've never done anything.
Probably a good call. Still though, this whole story's wacky. Just wait till you see how it ends. Speaking of bombs, let's talk about guns. They both kill people. It's an A+ segue, you're welcome. There's a decent selection of weapons, but I found myself favoring the sniper rifle.
A lot of people just want to shoot a rifle at long range.
I'll admit it was a little strange not having a bow and arrow, as a bow has become a staple of the Far Cry series, but I think the biggest problem I had was how you carry your guns. So assault rifles and sniper rifles both count as primary weapons. Then you also have like a pistol, a special weapon, and a machete. Whatever. To me, this is bullshit. Why the hell is the sniper not a special weapon? You're asking me to choose between the utility of an assault rifle, but the specialization of a sniper rifle. Why? I mean, I know the game can't handle draw distances of more than 150 feet, but still, making me choose between an AK and a long rifle with a scope sucks ass. Sure, you can say it's for gameplay or it's not a bug, it's a feature, but that's a lie. They just wanted me to suffer.
You gotta break them. You gotta break them like dogs.
That's why they did it. At first, I was a little worried about the gun decay, and constantly having to find new weapons because they keep breaking. But this system was actually pretty cool, and I think the way they did it was well done. If you want to buy a gun, you have to visit one of the high-tech gaming PCs stationed around the map.
This is my toilet PC.
And after a purchase in diamonds, yep, you pay in diamonds, they'll appear in your armory. And from there, every time one starts to jam, you can just go get a brand new one right off this wall. Quick side note on the store, I guess you could buy like character upgrades the whole time. I didn't realize this until the last couple missions, which made an already stressful process even worse. But that's what I get for disregarding the entire tutorial. So I think I should mention there's also kind of a fourth faction, but I hate them. And they're not actually a faction. This faction consists of your friends.
I'm getting real tired of this whole buddy-buddy act. Sure, everyone's so nice, but then they turn around and stab you in the back.
Now you see why I hate them. Your buddies, as the game calls them, is comprised of the other mercenaries that you didn't pick to play as. As far as I understand, these are randomly selected out of the characters you didn't choose. They pop up throughout your playthrough as buddies, and they're awfully helpful. If you go down, they'll help you up in combat. As long as you visit a safe house first. Safe houses are a way to save your game. You can pick up guns there, and it's one of the places you don't get shot at, and you can be certain they're safe because all of them have a nice little sign right out front that says safe house that points in the exact direction of the safe house. But I guess war criminals don't know how to read, so we're fine.
I'll just say it, I can't read.
Safe houses are perhaps one of the only places in this game where you're not worried about getting shot at, and you can actually feel some sort of safety. When traversing the map, it's not if you're going to have to fight somebody, it's how many people are you going to have to fight to get to where you're going.
You want me to show you tough? I'll show you tough.
And I don't understand this entirely. I'm doing missions for both of these factions, yet both of them want to kill me super hard. Want me dead super hard. Want to love me super hard. But still, everybody and their malaria-ridden mother are actively trying to kill me.
It can occur to men, women, and people of all ages.
If you drive by literally any other car, they'll immediately stop what they're doing and chase you down. You could be in a f***ing tank, and some suicidal asshole in a tiny little Honda will drop everything they're doing to crash into you.
I got breaking necks all day. That explains itself pretty much too.
What's more frustrating is how they placed these outposts. It's not really an outpost if it's directly on the f***ing road. In later Far Cry titles, outposts were placed just off the side of the road. So in the event that you had to drive by the outpost, you're not forced to kill everyone there in order to pass. That's not how it works in this game. Every time you drive by an outpost, you either have to stop and kill everyone and continue about your business, or just try to drive straight through it.
I'm just another schlub driving around Brooklyn with a bunch of jars full of semen.
But you don't want to do this one. Guns just do an insane amount of damage to cars. So most of the time, if you try to drive through, you just end up totaling your car, forcing you to repair it. To repair your car, you have to carefully tighten this bolt. This bolt right here. That's the only thing you have to do.
I'm a qualified oil mechanic!
You know, I probably watched a solid 15 minutes of this animation in my playthrough. I'm not even lying, that's real. The best strategy I found was acquire a gun truck, or a truck that has a gun. Drive in gun truck until you see literally any other person, swap to the gun in the back of the gun truck, shoot them, and steal their car, because your car is now a smoking mess because they have shit aim. And you just gotta do that over and over again until you get where you're trying to go. It's not terribly annoying, but I did find it stressful anytime I had to drive further than around the block.
I'm going to tell you something that's pretty controversial. Some people drive better when they're intoxicated.
But not as stressful as my friends made me feel. For every single faction mission, there's an accompanying buddy mission. Literally every story mission works with the same formula. After one of these dickhead warlords tells you to go do something atrocious, you'll get a call. And it'll be one of your friends telling you that he needs to talk somewhere or whatever.
Damn, dude, what is wrong with you?
Sorry. Damn, dude, what is wrong with you?
Who cares? But in most cases, nobody says anything because the game is a buggy f***ing mess. I'm not sure if these missions actually impact the overall story or not, because I didn't do them. Most of the time, I just completely disregarded my friends. The main buddy I got was Marty Allencar, aka Thomas the Tank Engine.
Rubbish, said Thomas. You're too fat, you need exercise.
I don't know why, his name reminded me of Thomas. He was extremely difficult to talk to. Not because we didn't have good chemistry, but because he wouldn't stop fucking moving, making it impossible for me to finish the dialogue sometimes, to where I'd have to just restart the game and try again.
This is like a bad acid trip. I can't talk to him to leave.
But this is a mess. Let's just try to get back to the story. After destroying more random critical machinery that's used to benefit the people of the country, we get our first high-profile assassination mission. Gakumba, in case you didn't know what I said, is the second in command for the UFLL, and killing him really kicks off this shit show of a story. The mission was particularly notable because it caused probably the most exciting moment I had during my entire playthrough. After you shoot this guy in his remote little cabin, you get swarmed with soldiers. It wasn't until I pretty much ran out of ammo that I realized these soldiers are just gonna keep spawning and coming at me. So I realized killing all of them wasn't an option and that I just needed to get out. This forced me to make a mad dash out of the cabin so I could jump off a cliff. I had no idea if I'd survive or not, and this was terrifying because if I died, I would lose like 2 hours of gameplay at that point. And I really did not want to do all these missions over again. But thankfully I survived and none of those soldiers got to come all over me. After Gakumba is killed, we get a call from Ruben. I haven't talked too much about Ruben yet because he's boring, but he's also a pretty cool character, probably one of the only decent people in this entire country.
Which basically means I'm Santa Claus, and I'm gonna do everything in my power to help people in need.
But he tells us that shit's hit the fan after we killed the UFLL boss. And basically, they're now going to kill everyone at a church and the bar that your friends hang out at. But of course, we can only save one of them. So now I had to decide between a bunch of innocent civilians at a church or my scumbag mercenary friends.
I know there's only minutes left, so you're gonna have to play my little game if you want to save one of them.
And it was in this moment that I saw the power of friendship, and I regretted how I had been neglecting the people who loved me most. And also, Mike's bar was much closer than Pala, the main city, so of course I chose to f***ing save my friends, because I didn't feel like dying on the way there, because I'm gonna have to drive through like 2 enemy outposts. I'm lazy in games too, it's not just real life. Once we get to the bar, it's pretty wild. We get completely surrounded in a chaotic firefight that ends with, you guessed it, us passing out again. Roll the clip. Only to wake up in the back of a truck full of dead bodies. We fall out of the truck because of course we do, we have to keep the story going, but this is great because there's a huge sandstorm. See, I wasn't really sure what to do at this point in the game. I walked for what felt like 5 minutes and nothing really happened until we pass out again, of course. And deja vu, we're woken up by the jackal.
Stop squirming.
And aw, he's helping us. Thanks, Dad. He's not our dad, but I kinda want him to be, you know? After another manic 200 words per second speech, he jumps out of the fucking window.
Ah, shit, you've broken the bloody window.
He did this because Hector from the UFLL shows up, and despite the fact that you just killed one of the top leaders for his faction, Gakumba, he tells us that we now need to go kill the leader for the APR.
Go back to the bar and kill Kawasi.
Yeah, I guess Hector is the head of security for the UFLL, and we just killed a high-ranking UFLL official, but he doesn't care. Great job, man. Keep it up. So we go kill the captain for the APR, Prosper Kawasi. Strange name, by the way. But none of this shit matters because guess what? After murdering this fucking loser, we're in Act 2, baby. Fuck yeah. New guns, new map, new buddies we get to ignore. I don't think I ever actually initiated dialogue with this character, yet she saved my life like a couple times.
I'll find you later.
Simp. Before we dive into the new map, let's talk about detail. Considering the graphics aren't the most refined, a lot of people might not think that this is the most detailed game. However, there's a whole lot of little systems behind the scenes that truly bring the environment to life. For instance, you can start a fire by shooting an RPG on dry grass. However, the grass will not catch on fire if you're in a wetter area. You can also shoot individual leaves or branches off of foliage. And if you drive a car over rough terrain, you create a path from wearing down the grass. For the era that this game came out, this is really impressive. This is pretty crazy. And because it's a Far Cry game, you already know that there's a deep roster of various animals roaming the map. Except there's not. This was kind of a letdown for me. When walking through the jungle, you can hear plenty of animals. Shit sounds like a rainforest cafe. But you don't ever encounter them. There's zebras and wildebeest and stuff, but there's no lions, crocs, or rhinos.
Working with animals has its moments. Son of a gun.
Pretty much anything that can kill you isn't in the game. But honestly, this game's pretty hard. I'm already fighting an ass load of weekend soldiers. Maybe throwing rabid lions in the mix would have forced me to rage quit more than I already did. Still, I don't know, it'd be cool to get bit by a crocodile, but maybe I'm just into that kind of thing. But even though we now have new guns and a new map, the missions are more of the same. We blow up a kiln, we sell some guns, we free some slaves, you know, gamer shit. Until we get to the end of the game. This is where the story turns into a slaughterfest. Keep in mind, all the terrorism we've been doing has been funded by the APR and the UFLL, and a series of people who work for those factions. I'm not going to bother naming all of them because it's going to take too long. It's just easier to put it on screen. But by the end of the game, we're going to kill all of these people, which is good. Every one of these characters was pushing their own agendas while wreaking havoc in this country. Except this guy, again, remember he is cool.
You're a jackpot. That's what you are.
The final act begins with an offering of peace. After bombing each other to Kingdom Come for the entirety of the game, both factions realize that this meta sucks.
I've been in contact with Mbatue. We have decided it's time to bring an end to this conflict.
Let's kiss and make up, and turn that kiss into a makeout.
I was saying, I enjoy watching them because it makes me horny.
Oh, God. I bet you I could write some really sexy fanfic about this game. I'll put it on my Patreon. I'm just kidding. I don't put anything on my Patreon. Don't even waste your time with that. This peace offering begins when the UFLL sends us to pick up a case of diamonds from a leader for the UFLL, Addy Mbantawe. Holy shit, having to say UFLL followed by that guy's name, it's a tongue twister. This whole video's been tough. But the reason that we're picking these diamonds up is to offer them as a gift to the other faction. Let it be known that one of your buddies will offer you a side mission in which you just take the diamonds to an airfield and just dip out of the country. Because your friends are pussies and they suck. I've been saying it the whole time. So of course, what do we say to friends? We don't say anything because we just don't talk to them. But when we get to Mbantawe and we try to pick up the diamonds, we find out he's already been murdered. And when trying to recover the diamonds, our dad shows up again, and you guessed it, he knocks us out.
You are grounded for 2 weeks, you got that?
Jesus Christ, are these roofies or malaria pills? We wake up in prison. I always hate missions like this in games. You know the ones where you like wake up and you've been captured, you don't have your weapons, you don't have shit to be honest, and now you have to figure out how to get out of this situation. Except I think this was the easiest prison escape I've ever had. Literally, I'll just play a time lapse. I just kind of walked right out the door. And now that peace is out of the question, it's time to kill everyone. I was sent on a series of missions from both sides, and nearly every one of them was killing someone who used to give me missions.
Hell, son, you can go all out. You can walk right into the office and shoot Capo in the face if you want to. I can make it happen.
Boring!
I don't even remember all these characters' names, but I do remember their faces shaking back and forth at me while I was being told to go blow something up. Throughout the rest of the game, we never actually choose which faction we're siding with. We just show up in this country, make a bunch of money causing chaos, and then kill our bosses.
A case of good man working on a typical...
But after this bloodshed, we get a call from Ruben at an airfield. He's pinned down, and of course, we need to kill all the soldiers that are keeping him trapped. Because even though Ruben's cool, he's a huge pussy, and he can't fight on his own. He makes me do it for him.
I'm sorry, sir, but my sensors indicate that you are indeed a weenie.
But he tells us that the APR and the UFLL have finally made a truce. Cool, mission accomplished. I guess we're just excellent diplomats. But he also told us that there's been a riot at the prison that the Jackal has caused. So, of course, that's where we need to go, right? We're supposed to kill the Jackal. That's the point of the game. So yeah, let's go to the prison. This could have been the final mission of the game. I mean, we were sent here to kill this guy after all, and now here he is, unarmed, standing completely alone in what looks to be a good final boss fight arena. But no, that doesn't happen. Instead, he goes on this long plan about how we're cancer and we need to destroy the cancer. The problem I have with this is that we never questioned anybody else before killing them. Hell, I just killed everybody in the room without a second thought. But for now, some reason, the main antagonist is off limits. I mean, he is, after all, kind of the reason we're here. He's our payday, and money's really cool, right? So why not just shoot him? Now, my theory is that Malaria Man had a tenuous relationship with his father, and maybe this psychotic arms dealer wants to play catch with us and be the dad that we never had growing up. But that's just my theory.
A game theory.
After this little conversation, we're put in a previously inaccessible part of the map and greeted with the ever so immersion breaking pop-up ensuring us that this is the final mission of the game. At this point, I had gotten kind of bored with using an assault rifle again, so I switched back to the sniper, not knowing at all if it would be a good idea for the final boss fight. Turns out, it was a great idea. Most of these combat situations, I could take out an entire platoon without anybody even seeing where the fuck I was. The first part of these final missions is killing 2 lieutenants, who somehow just weren't eliminated during the first 90% of this game. I don't remember who these 2 were either. I would talk about it if I did, but I'm sorry. I did my best. After we kill these 2 losers, we meet up with our buddies to get our diamonds back. I'm sure you remember this character, and this character, and this character, and who could forget this character? And now, I might have been naive to think that I could just grab these diamonds from these people that I ignored the entire story and just, run away to Mexico, or wherever the hell we're going after this. But instead, I was double-crossed.
Sure, everyone's so nice, but then they turn around and stab you in the back.
You're wasting time, shoot him.
I can't shoot him, he's one of us.
We already made our deal, he's on his own.
Sorry.
I'm almost proud of them, because this was the first thing they did in this entire story that I actually cared about. I read on the wiki for this game that you can choose to run away and spare them instead of, just killing them. And even though I did die a couple times trying to complete this mission, I still would have chose to kill them because them, right? I don't really have an option. I haven't liked you guys the whole game. I'm not gonna back out now and spare you. Why am I getting so mad about friends? But after we kill our friends, we now have the diamonds where we get to meet up with the Jackal for the absolute final mission. I was amped, I was excited, and I was overall just curious about how this game was going to end. I mean, after all, what does the Jackal have in mind? It has to be something big. This entire story has been an epic saga of destruction. When you arrive at the safe house to meet the Jackal, he informs you that both of you are going on suicide missions. You are just going to kill yourselves. What the fuck is going on?
Suicide is badass!
On the table in front of him is a car battery and the newly acquired briefcase full of diamonds. One of you will need to use the car battery to blow up a tunnel to stop the border guards from converging on the civilians.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
And the other uses the diamonds to bribe the guards to allow the civilians out of the country. The main goal in this mission is to get all of the innocent civilians out of this war-torn country. So we need to bribe guards and stop bad guards from stopping them from getting, you get it, you understand it, we gotta do good stuff. This presents us with another option. If we take the car battery, we need to make sure that we blow up the tunnel and kill ourselves in the process. However, if we choose the briefcase, we're supposed to bribe the border patrol and then just kill ourselves afterward. Now, certainly, this wasn't a life rule I had before, but if you're ever asked to choose between a briefcase full of diamonds and an old car battery, you choose the briefcase full of diamonds. I feel like there's never a situation you shouldn't. So after we choose the diamonds, we simply give them to the Border Patrol, and they let a bunch of civilians enter a country that doesn't suck ass. Shortly after this, we see an explosion in the distance, meaning that the Jackal supposedly blew himself up. And now that we've bribed the guards, all that we have left to do is shoot ourselves in the face. Which, of course, isn't what happened, because now, as most of us know, Malaria Man has become a box office poster child and a critical part of the Avengers and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'd also like to think that the Jackal didn't kill himself and he was just trolling us. So in closing, Far Cry 2 is pretty cool. I think this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Follow me on everything on the internet. I don't care. I'm just tired.
Wow, what a great video.